So today we are going to talk about drone licenses. Let's get into it.
Slam dunk, are you ready to meet me? I'm lit and I'm riding the fast lane. Don't let me down, I'm on.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Nate, and it's great to see you again. Today we are going to talk about 5 reasons why you should get your drone license as a filmmaker. I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about my experience getting the United States Part 107 drone license and testing with the FAA. And then we're going to get into 5 reasons that I've laid out that I think provide value in kind of getting this specialized skill and how that will help your business as a filmmaker. So I started off as primarily just a recreational pilot. Right around May or June of last year, my wife and I were gonna go on a vacation, and I wanted to get, just a small recreational drone to film on our vacation. That's kind of what sparked this whole interest for me. It was great. I kind of learned the ropes. I had gotten the Mavic Air at that time. It was a great portable option for me, and it was just a very kind of safe option as a beginner pilot entering this sort of industry. Now the Mavic Air was great to me. It's a great little drone, but throughout the next year into 2019, I really started upping my video space game, and I started paying a lot more attention to the techniques, not only adjusting its manual camera settings, but also messing around and getting more comfortable with its manual flight settings. So July rolled around and I ended up landing on a study program called Drone Pilot Ground School. In the US, the FAA currently has around 100,000 licensed drone pilots. Of that base of 100,000 pilots, about 20,000 of those pilots, so about a fifth of the pilots, have actually gone through the Drone Pilot Ground School program. Proven to be a very successful program for those of you who are interested. I highly recommend it. It's very interactive. Needless to say, this is not a promotional video for that program. Now keep in mind that getting licensed and getting registered to be a drone pilot is vastly different in the US than it is in other countries like the EU or in Canada or in Australia. So the cost, the program, the regulation is going to be somewhat different, and this is just my experience going through the Part 107 in the US. The FAA actually has all the material needed to pass the exam available for free. It's kind of spread out all over the internet. It's a lot of documents and charts. Based on what I researched, it takes a lot of work just to kind of consolidate all the information you need to be able to even start studying for the exam. That's one of the reasons why I ended up going with a program and just paying out of pocket, is because I knew that they had the entire curriculum I needed to know to pass the exam in a short amount of time. So I took about a week and a half or 2 weeks to study, and the test is actually not that difficult. Now I don't want to downplay it because I've seen people cram for 2 days and pass the test. I've also heard about people just not studying at all and going to sit for the exam and failing miserably. So it's not an easy exam, but it's also not that difficult if you really put in the time. Much of the test is based around aeronautical charts, controlled airspace, safety and maintenance of the drone, airport traffic control, meteorology, and weather patterns. To me, it was all very interesting. I was eager to learn it, and it was actually fun to study, but needless to say, that was kind of the core curriculum of what the test consisted of. So with that all out of the way, let's dive into the 5 reasons why you should get your drone license as a filmmaker. So reason number 1 is the entry cost versus income potential. Now what I mean by that is, think about the requirements of being either a lawyer or a doctor, right? Typically those entry costs require some level of collegiate education as well as some sort of specialized schooling afterward. Now all of that could not only take literally years of time to do, but also thousands upon thousands of dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? High cost of entry, but also high level of income potential. Based on some of the research that I've done, I think the US has some of the lowest licensing and registration fees compared to international counterparts like the EU or Australia. To be proctored and sit for the exam, $150. $150. You could essentially not pay for a study program, sit for the exam for $150, walk away with a license, and now you're a licensed drone pilot. So your entry point has now cost $150. You'd obviously need a drone, which that in of itself, those prices have been drastically decreasing since 5 or 10 years ago. The cost of drones is becoming more and more readily accessible for entry-level filmmakers. You no longer need a budget of $10,000+ to have a professional level drone to take on clientele. So $150 for the test, maybe $500 to $2,000 for a nice drone, right? And now you're in, your entry cost is around $2,000 to $3,000. I'd say median salary for a professional drone pilot is around 70, 75, 80K. Now that's median. So depending on obviously where you live in the US, that salary could vary, as well as how many years you have in the business, how much skill you have as a drone operator, and what sort of client base you have. So that salary could vary. But for an entry point of $2,000 to $3,000, for the income potential of around $80,000, that's a pretty good return. Now, obviously there could be additional factors when comparing the entry point of becoming a professional drone pilot versus, becoming a doctor, such as being an entrepreneur and having your own business, and the risks and or rewards that has with it versus working for a company or working for a hospital and the stability that comes along with that. This video is not addressing any of that. I realize that there are differences. It's just apples to apples, the entry point into any given profession and what potential income that profession could give you. So reason number 2 would be increasing your client base. As a filmmaker, you probably already have a niche that you work in, whether it be content creation or weddings or the food industry. But having a drone license can expand that client base for you. Not only do you move from being a recreational pilot who can technically not make money off of flying drones to being a commercial pilot who now can legitimately make money from flying drones, but it expands the clientele that primarily use drone professionals to become your clientele. So some of those clientele can include construction or real estate, or 3D modeling has become a really big growing industry within the drone profession. So now all of a sudden you have more options of clientele that you can work with based off of this additional skill that you have as a filmmaker. Reason number 3 would be, and I know it's pretty obvious, but it's changing your perspective, changing your point of view. How do you set yourself apart from an industry that's already fairly saturated with everyone else who can, take photos with their phone or has a better DSLR or mirrorless than you? How do you set yourself apart in a population like that? One of the ways you can do that is your point of view, changing your perspective. Obviously, taking shots and video from the air can help do that. You don't need a drone license to do this, but technically speaking, you do need a drone license to do this if somebody's paying you to do it, right? So that's why it's included in this list, is having the drone license allows you to essentially make money off of varying your perspective, getting those unique aerial shots, and being paid to do so. All right, so reason number 4, and again, this doesn't directly correlate with having a drone license. The reason why I keep tying these two together is the fact that when you have a drone license, you can commercialize your business. You can actually start making money legitimately, as lawfully recognized by the FAA when you have a drone license. And that's why I keep tying this back. But reason number 4 would be the portability of your business. It's amazing to me the amount of income potential you have just from such a small business asset such as this. So the portability of your business, the portability of your moneymaker really gives you so much freedom to not only travel and experience new things, but incorporate a vast and wide variety of clientele that you otherwise wouldn't necessarily be able to work with if you didn't have aerial media as an additional service that your business offers. So reason number 5 I see as important for getting your drone license as a filmmaker would be investing in yourself and specializing in a skill. We're talking about a marketplace that's completely saturated by anyone and everyone being able to take great quality photos and videos with something in their pocket. As much as you can distinguish yourself as a filmmaker and distinguish your services as a filmmaker is only going to give you more of an edge when you try to bid on that next big project. All right, everyone, that's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was valuable for you. This is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. I really enjoyed the process of researching about how to get my Part 107 license and eventually obtaining it. I found a lot of value in getting licensed. It was very educational. I enjoyed the entire process. If that's something that you'd like me to get more in depth into, as far as the study program that I used, how I went about studying for the exam and passing the exam, leave a comment down below. I'd be happy to make another video about this down the road, diving more into kind of the nitty-gritty aspects of the study program and what particular things you might end up looking out for on the test. Thanks for watching. Thanks for checking out the video. Go ahead and leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe maybe if you absolutely loved it. Stay tuned for some great content coming up next week, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.